A little over a year ago at the 2021 Game Awards, among the big games and the indies alike, a cute, charming little game with a lot of potential was shown off called Tchia.
Tchia.
Originally slated for a 2022 spring release, but it was pushed back until this year for reasons I don't know. I won't pretend I was ever hugely anticipating this game. It wasn't one of my top for this year or anything, but I always had my eye out for it. And I'll say right now, it surprised me with how much it drew me in. Tchia is definitely a gem for this already fantastic year, and considering I have PlayStation Plus and got it for free, it's a no-brainer that I would at least check it out. So let's just jump right into our lovely little island adventure that is Tchia. Tchia is a game inspired by New Caledonia, which I hope I'm pronouncing right, a small island on the Pacific Ocean, and it is described as a love letter to the homeland of one of the team's co-founders, and it shows. For whatever problems this game might have, you can really tell that it is a true loving act to a place that the developers really treasure. The story, told as a campfire story to a bunch of kids at an orphanage, is about Tchia, who lives out in a seemingly fine and peaceful life on an island with just her and her dad. On her 12th birthday, when your only contact with the outside world visits, things go horribly wrong. He was followed by a man in an airship alongside two things. They're basically fabric monsters who kidnap Chia's dad, which awakens a power deep inside her as she leaps forward and transforms into a blade, scaring the villain before falling back into the ocean. But Tchia is not going to ignore this, and her one goal, her one drive, she will save her dad no matter what. Along the way she will meet more friends, find out some secrets of the world, as she makes her way to find the man who took away her one and only family. Someone on YouTube who I checked out because I had to check a cutscene for this game, I'll get to the reason for that later, described it in a way so perfect that I'm almost bitter I didn't think of it myself. It's like a fairy tale, but an old school fairy tale. And I think that is the best way to describe this game's world, really shortly. Yes, it's cute, it has the charming characters, but there's a bit of a darker, twisted, is this really for kids vibe to it.
Je crois.
A lot of ways this game really gives me the vibes of three different games. The most well known and obvious being Zelda Wind Waker, probably for obvious reasons with the island themes and the music, and the use of music for special powers. Then there's Everything, a game that basically lets you take control and become any object from fleas to galaxies. And the other is Never Alone, a small indie game that is a personal story in collaboration with Alaskan native people and from elders and storytellers who all contributed to the development of that game too. And that's a good sign right from the start. They're all three games I really loved. You will go from island to island, and most of the mandatory gameplay is about just finding some items, bringing them to the right place, and sometimes fighting groups of enemies and burning piles of fabric. But where this game really shines to me is when you just explore. It is very, very easy to just lose yourself in this game and just explore with nothing even really to find sometimes. It's a charming, cute world, and on a few occasions I would just think, oh wait, what was I supposed to be doing? And I was fine with it. You can probably complete this game in less than 3 hours if you just focus on the story, but I spent a good 3 long days with a lot more than that in each go. The whole game is pretty much 100% something you can play at your own pace. You want to slowly make your way to the next location? Go for it. Want to go full speed from one spot to the next on your raft? Fast travel? All up to you. Or if you just want to slowly float your way over on the raft, it's all just perfectly up to you. You're never rushed either. Nobody ever bothers you to hurry up. And I appreciate that immensely. It's easily one of my most praised aspects of this whole game. The joy of just exploring, whether it's how chill it can be or just the many various ways to do it. Which brings me to one of the most unique aspects of this game, the soul jump, which lets you use your powers to turn into animals or even objects to harness unique abilities, such as turning into an object and launching it and then returning to human form, or causing explosions with oil lamps. In addition to that, it is one of the most fun ways to traverse a world ever. You can launch the object, jump back in, then launch again and just zoom across huge distances like that. Definitely try it out if you pick this up. You can become birds and fly around and poop, be a fish to swim really fast, or bugs, cows, rocks, tires, and even fruit. If there's one phrase I never expected to see as an instruction in a game, it's soul jump into the coconut. It really is a ton of fun, and I spent so much of this game just having fun jumping between different things. It's rare for me to get this sucked into my own random fun in games, especially in ways that the game doesn't expect from you or force on you. Even just climbing trees is a ton of fun. But not only that, you can also swing from them, chaining together with the glider for some really fun airtime. Only small ones at first, but as you upgrade your limited stamina, you will be able to get up higher, and when you do get up one of the taller ones just by the skin of your teeth, it's a hard feeling to describe. It's just really satisfying, and jumping off is just as fun. You can get a raft pretty early on to get around the big watery areas in between islands, and you can fast travel too if you don't feel the same fun from exploring this world as I did. I never use fast travel, but it's there if you want it. And the exploring is made much easier with the use of your map, which is like a very old school type sailor map, and also a pretty great and quick to bring up mini map. I'm kind of stuck on my feelings here. I do like on one hand how you can just have the use of the map, that's how you explore. There's no giant glowing waypoints from 2,000 feet away. The only waypoints in this game are like a little pin on your compass, but it can be a bit hard to do, especially if you suck at maps as much as I do. But it does also add to the rewarding feeling when you do find something you're looking for yourself, or just happen across quests or collectibles. Which most of the quests in this game, outside of the main story, would be activities like races, including racing as other animals like birds or in deer, or even on your raft. There's a rock stacking minigame that they describe as zen, but I find it incredibly stressful. There's a shooting gallery slingshot, which is probably my favourite. You can also find animals which can just be pet or picked up and stored in your backpack for later use. There's totem pole carvings, and enemy camps which involve you using objects like gas canisters or oil lamps to set fire to enemies, and so much more. There are also rhythm game elements like reeds, which is just pushing a button at the right time, or a ukulele to pick the right chords at the right timing, and a few more too. These can also be done automatically if you just want to sit back and take it in. And I imagine not everyone will feel the same or will feel as much into them, but these can be pretty powerful moments. They just let it sit there and really sink in. I've never been so moved by songs I couldn't understand any words to before. They were pretty amazing, touching, and had me speechless the whole time for every one of them. They're easily one of the highlights of an already amazing and pretty special game. You can also do a freestyle. So I'm sure many channels who have a shred of musical talent will create something really nice instead of whatever I did. And as you go on, the ukulele offers more various abilities, such as controlling the time of day, infinite breathing, and a few more too. All of these things really make the world always feel nice to be in. And as I already mentioned a little bit, it's extremely rare for me to play a game where I can just explore with nothing but myself and the soundtrack. Nobody hassling me to tell me what to do, or reminding me of what quest I'm supposed to do, or making sure every silence is filled. It's something I don't get a lot in games, so I have to have a massive appreciation whenever it does happen. It's one of the few games I can play without ever wanting to yell, "Shut the fuck up," even once. There's also a lot of collectibles like campfires where you can rest, sleep, and play the ukulele for fun, braided trinkets, stamina fruits to increase stamina, underwater pearls, chests, and a few more. Most of them are just kind of for collectibles, but there is a lot of extra customization too. And when I say a lot, I mean it. It is exhaustive. There is more here than in a lot of games would have after 5 years of updates and microtransactions. There's like 10 separate categories of customizable outfit parts, and they all have a ton of stuff here. This deserves credit, and even in a world without insulting overpriced cosmetics, I still think this would be impressive. You're unlikely to see two people play this game with the same looking Tchia, even if you watch thousands of playthroughs. And while you play through and do things, you will gain more info and stuff in like an index thing in a section of the menu to see things like characters, items, abilities, flora, fauna, landmarks, tutorials. It's all really intuitive and nicely laid out. But before I get onto a few of my big complaints, unfortunately, let's talk about my favourite parts of reviews, the music. I already mentioned the rhythm game sections and the music here, which is all spectacular, and it really shows the labour of love that this game was. But even sometimes in the open world, the music would just kick in while you're on your raft or something, and I would just let it sit back, try to get a good sailing angle, and just enjoy. It's all just amazingly, perfectly thematic music. And not being a part of the culture, it's probably harder for me to really answer whether or not this is all new music for the game or something that already existed. All I can say for sure, it was one of my favourite soundtracks in a long time. It could be epic, fun, happy, and sometimes even bring a tear to my eye, even without understanding a single word. It really feels like they could get across everything they wanted to without me needing to understand a single word. But let's talk about the worst parts, as much as I hate to. Especially with smaller, more personal games like this one, that clearly had so much love and passion put into it. But it has to be done. The biggest gameplay aspect that I really did not enjoy was big area combat. You fight by flinging fire or explosives to kill enemies, and in small areas this is very fun, satisfying and snappy. Just shooting at one enemy, jumping out, and keeping a good rhythm like that, it's a great experience. I can already see myself sharing a few little clips just because I did a good job in that aspect. In bigger areas, however, it can get really repetitive, slow, and boring. Spending way too long trying to find the last remaining enemies with no good indication where they are, or even a general area. This mightn't be as much of an issue if you're doing a lot of side stuff because you won't have it as much in the story. But if all you're doing is the main game, there's much less time between this. And I spent way too long in this way. just trying to find one remaining enemy or something, and it gets old. The enemies would be way more tolerable if they were a little bit more aggressive or had some easier way to find them. Especially considering some areas can have up to 34 enemies and 21 other objects to burn. That's over 50 things to find, to slowly look for, and to deal with one by one. I really hope this can be fixed up just a tiny little bit. This game is also pretty horrible with crashes, at least on PS4. As I said in my Atomic Heart review, I have been extremely lucky over my life when it comes to crashes. At least as far as I can remember. I can't think of a single game that had awful crashes for me. Even games when other people had bad crashes, I had little to none. With this game, I lost count. It was close to 10, including being stuck unless I skipped a cutscene. And that even happened in the final cutscene of the game, which is really demotivating and can really suck a lot out of the immersion and of the experience. I had to watch them on YouTube or miss them completely, and for someone like me who just likes to be going as blind as possible, even not knowing how long a game will be, I hated having to do that. It's probably the first time I can think of where I had to do that, outside of accidentally skipping a cutscene that was my own fault. Yeah, so if you plan to play this, as much as it sucks to have to say it, I can't recommend it right now. The amount of crashing I had in just 3 days of playing this is way too high. I can't really comment on what it's like on current gen consoles or PC, but from what I've heard about PC, it crashes a lot too, so that's not really great things. So just be aware of this if you plan to pick it up. Even if you have free access, I recommend you wait until a patch or two before going into it. Just keep an eye out for that kind of stuff before. That kind of stuff could really negatively impact your experience, so you're definitely better off waiting just a little while. So, Tchia is obviously a game I really like, even if I don't think everyone will, and from the little bits I have seen, it has been pretty divisive. Like, I tend to stay away from reviews unless it's something I have no intention to play, or until I finish it myself. But from the brief scores I did see, it could be anywhere from a 2 out of 10 to a 2 and 9. For me, however, with great stuff like the likeable characters despite the short times they're here, insanely addicting gameplay and exploration, tons of variety, and the game even being pretty funny sometimes, often in an out of nowhere dark and twisted way. And the incredible, powerful and touching music, and pretty much unparalleled cosmetic options, I'm going to give Tchia a final score of 7 out of 10. I wish I could go higher, but with the big combat areas being pretty painful, and the crashing for me personally being the worst I've ever experienced, it's hard to give it anything better. Easily an 8 if they could fix that stuff, I think. And even if part of me praises the collecting aspects of it, I think if they gave an hour or two more to the story and less of the pointless collectibles, it could have been better too. I did more exploring than I think most people will do in one playthrough. Literally 80% of my time was spent doing non-story stuff, and I finished with a completion rate of 52%. But as soon as it gets the crashing sorted out, I can't recommend this game enough. While I've enjoyed certain games more this year, I think this is easily one of the most impassioned and heartfelt I've had the pleasure of playing. And I hope the feedback they get can help to make this game into an even better experience, because I really do think this game and this world deserves it. Anyway, that is it for Tchia. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let me know if you've played this or what you thought of it. Please make sure to like, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. It apparently helps. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.
Không ra là hình, và nhịp điệu ca